What is going on, guys? It is Shanka here, and I apologize for not making a lot of videos past a week or two because I've been really busy and work's just been picking up, so I just really don't have time to be making little videos like I used to, or long ones, whatever. But I wanted to talk about today and what happened a couple days ago in Northern California at a garlic festival with the shootings that have been happening. All right. Well, to start off with today in El Paso, Texas, there was a shooting at a Walmart and Walmart, Sam's Club, whatever, and yeah, gunman killed quite a few people, and it is a tragedy. It's very heartbreaking and very sad to hear these things happen, and it's it almost seems like it is at a high occurrence, but I mean within a span of like a couple days. With there was a shooting in Mississippi, there was a shooting in California, Northern California, like I said. So these shootings are happening, and what I want to make this video about is, I guess I just want to say that, I mean, I am pro-gun. I'm pro-gun. All right, I do love shooting firearms. I've been shooting firearms ever since I was old enough to shoot them, and so you know, the right to bear arms is obviously a staple in our country, in the United States. So being able to own and shoot weapons freely and all that stuff, that's a big plus for me. But obviously with these guys, I mean, with El Paso, we're not sure what's happening yet. It's still developing. I mean, I am filming this on a Saturday, the day that it happened, early this morning. I think like it was around 11 or something that it happened. So, there's still more information on, who the gunman is and, the weapon he used and all that stuff, because, that's going to be key with, how the media is going to draw all the attention to this. Now, is it horrible? Yes, it's very tragic. Nobody should have to be killed by weapons in vain. That, like in these instances where, a gunman just comes in and just starts mowing down people or killing people, whether it's gang violence, robbery gone wrong, or whatever, guns are tools, but, you know, we have to start realizing that these guns are tools. These weapons are tools, okay? Now, the media is going to start hyping up, and every liberal politician and Republican rhino is going to be hyping up that it's the guns that are the problem. The guns do this. Guns, ARs, AKs, shotguns, whatever. They're going to be the problem. They're going to be the superstar in every media outlet once this gets sorted out and straightened away. So, with that being said, if you're going to be diving into this, if you're going to be looking into, what's going on, please look past the weapon. Look past what type of gun he was using. It doesn't matter what kind of gun he was using. Handgun, shotgun, revolver, what have you, okay? These shootings that happen, they are a combination of things, and we'll get into that. But with this shooting, and other shootings that have happened in the past 2 days, there are going to be, obviously media coverage of it until it's all squared away, and the police departments and sheriff departments, detectives, everyone, they sort of figure out what's going on and what happened and who this guy was. And the liberal media is going to blast it out there and say, guns, this guy had access to guns. And going back to the shooting at the Garlic Festival, supposedly the guy purchased the gun in Nevada and transferred it over, or not transferred, but snuck it over here and to California and used it on, the Garlic Festival. Luckily, he was shot before many people were killed, but still, the shooting did happen and people did get killed. So, anyways, with that being said, we have to get down to what is going on with people's mentality nowadays. All right. The mentality of people is changing, all right, in this country. All right. Whether they are veterans, whether they're ex law enforcement, whether they're, children who have been raised up in the wrong neighborhood, didn't have a mother or father, didn't have one or the other. There are all these things that are contributing to how these people are acting. Because, again, this is not about the gun. The guy could have easily went into a store with a machete, an axe, or something. Any of these people could have went into these stores and started massacring people. I mean, in China a few years ago, there was a story. It's buried under news, but you can look it up. There was a story in China where some guy went into a school and stabbed a bunch of kids with a knife. Okay, like 20. I want to say 20 plus kids, but it was a lot of kids in China. Where a guy just went into a school and just started stabbing kids left and right. Okay, so it doesn't matter what tool you use. It's all about the person and what that person's agenda is. So this isn't coming from a tool standpoint. This is coming from a person standpoint, a morality and a mental standpoint. Okay, a lot of people nowadays, especially in 2019, the country's divided. Okay, there's no other way to put it. The country is divided. You got left against right, Republican against Democrat. It's basically a cold civil war, all right? Not a cold war, but a cold civil war in our own country. I mean, for example, people can't even walk down the street in certain, cities wearing a MAGA hat without getting harassed, okay? Without getting spit on, beat, or whatever. And there's video footage of that happening all over the country. So, with that being said, is that there is a mental problem in this country. There are people who are having problems mentally that are causing them to go off the rails. Okay? And by those examples, I'm talking about, again, Army, military personnel who have PTSD, ex-cops with PTSD, or schizophrenia-ridden people who have that disease and, they're taking pharmaceutical medication. And that also goes with military and police. If somebody is having a problem with dealing with something, pharmaceuticals are the number one go-to. All right. Now, when I get to medical reasons with pharmaceuticals, this is where I believe there is a core root to it, okay? Everyone wants to start blaming the gun. If he didn't have the gun, this would have never happened, all right? And that's the story that they stick to. Liberals, leftists, anti-gunners, pro-gun, gun control activists, whatever. They all want to blame the gun, okay? But there's something deeper than that, okay? Now, when Obama was president, he actually funded the CDC to conduct research on our guns and gun violence, like, is it a disease or whatever? And the CDC's findings were sort of like inconclusive. Like, it just didn't, not inconclusive, but it didn't meet the numbers that were being projected, like how everyone else projects it to be, to where there's these killings on a massive, massive scale, like bigger than the Holocaust, bigger than, some genocide in Africa. Like, the numbers that were being thought to have been projected like that were not coming up with the CDC. In fact, more people were being saved by guns in the millions than by those who were being killed by weapons in the thousands, okay? Now, that's not to say, it's apples and oranges, but it just goes to show you that there are millions of people getting saved by guns them being slain. Now, if it was the other way around, then okay, we got something to talk about, but that's not the case. And when the CDC came up with that, Obama didn't like what he heard, so it was obviously shoved under the rug. And you can look that up on Google. It's there. You just gotta either dig for it or really type in the keywords, but it's there. So that's why it never really made mainstream news. That's why nobody knows about it. When they hear a shooting, they're just like, "Oh my God, what kind of gun did you use? Was it a assault rifle, AR-15 or whatever?" So when I get down to talking about, the mental issue, because it is a mental issue, and a lot of these people who are committing these crimes either are messed up in the head, they've experienced past trauma, and growing up or coping through their problems. A lot of the times it is prescription medicine that is given to these people to help them cope. And you could go on cable news, CNN, MSNBC, even Fox News, excuse me, every commercial, almost, it doesn't matter, in their commercial block time, there is pharmaceutical drug commercials for schizophrenia, for allergies, for something. There is a prescription drug for every cancer, Alzheimer's, what have you. There is a drug for it, okay? And if you listen to those commercials carefully, there's always that little voice that says, side effects may include diarrhea, hearing loss, thoughts of suicide, okay? There's one right there, thoughts of suicide, okay, in some of these drugs, all right? There's like 5 side effects to 1 cure for the problem. So with these people, with soldiers or police officers or, mental cases with schizophrenia or other, mental diseases that are taking prescription medication, they're taking this medication and there's like 5 or 6 side effects that come with it. And that's where the pharmaceutical companies have to be questioned about, what kind of medicine are we giving to these people? Because if the side effects say thoughts of suicide or, whatever, if you have thoughts of suicide, then what's to stop you from going on a rampage and taking your anger on yourself to somebody else? All right. And it doesn't just stop there with stress or medical disorders. It also comes through with also political views, and also this is where it's getting into conspiracy theories, but like red flags, where somebody is committing a crime to make it look like, let's say, some Republican Christian is killing for Trump in killing Muslims or whatever. I'm not saying that's happening, but if that was to happen, to where some shooter went on a massive shooting spree and started hosing down a lot of people, and they found his manifesto and everything, and he had Trump stickers, he was Republican, he listened to InfoWars, Alex Jones, if something like that was to happen, then oh boy, the media would be all over it, and that's where. But the guy's background isn't really known, but what they found in his hideaway or whatever was riddled with Republican stuff or conservative stuff, and InfoWars stickers and things like that, where something like that could happen. And that's what's like a red flag, like a false flag or whatever, where that's going to be turned into some sort of a, like, oh, see, the Republicans did it, but in reality, it could be somebody else pulling the strings for that. That's where it gets to like conspiracy theories, where you're just like, well, is that a thought? Maybe something like that could happen. But the most plausible one that I feel is the big thing is pharmaceutical drugs. All right. And pharmaceutical drugs are really, with all those side effects, they can be screwing people's minds. They're not thoroughly tested enough, maybe, but it seems like that is a key factor with these people who already have problems, and it's just making it worse, okay? And let's go to the other side, the political side. If this guy, like at the ICE facility, I can't. Was it in Arizona or something? I don't know. That Antifa guy who went and firebombed a few cars. Um, he basically, excuse me, he went to a ICE facility and he firebombed some cars. Luckily, the police were able to put him down before he could kill any officers or ICE members or whatever. And they were able to, to keep him from keep a mass shooting from happening. And did the media, are they blowing that up? Is that on CNN? Is that on MSNBC? No. Even for the fact that it happened, it made the news, but it wasn't like where it's going to be. These stories are going to be dragging on for days and days, and there's going to be have constant updates. So, with that being said, because it was Antifa, the leftists support Antifa. The leftists believe what they're doing is right and justified, because the right, conservatives, are a bunch of Nazis, racists, and they hate everybody, and they're the good guys. They have the moral high ground. And so, with that being said, they have to stick with what they believe. And if an Antifa member went off the rails and either firebombed or shot a bunch of people, they can't be associated with that. I mean, there was even a reporter for the Rebel Media, I believe it was, who went and confronted AOC and her entourage, her four other freshmen Congress people or whatever, and asked them, said, "Hey, do you condemn Antifa? Do you condemn Antifa for doing that?" And they wouldn't even answer. They wouldn't even give a little mini questionnaire or whatever. They just said they didn't answer at all. So they won't condemn Antifa, and that gets brushed under the rug. But the moment a shooting like this happens, and let's behold, it's a Republican supposedly, a conservative, then oh yeah, let's let the cat out of the bag. Let's investigate this until we fully know. Was it a conservative? We need to know now. The thing is, never let a good tragedy go to waste. All right. So so with that being said, with all these things that are going on, with it could be mental health. It could be pharmaceuticals. It could be, false flags that are happening that are, somebody who is leftist but are claiming to be Republican, conservative, whatever, Christian faith, and, doing this and writing little manifestos or whatever. We don't know. Again, this stuff is still coming out. It just depends. But what I strongly lean towards believing is that there is a mental health issue going on in this country, and that there is something that is really, really going on, and in 2019, and a lot of people who are doing this, they are at their wits' end about whatever they're going through, and it seems to be getting, pushed and pushed for an agenda to ban guns, to blame gun owners, to enact more gun laws, and to be honest, that's obviously not going to do it at all. It's not going to do anything but just hurt gun owners. That's all it's going to do. Because in California, where I live in, July 1st, a ammunition background check got enforced. So now, if I want to go to the gun store and buy a box of shotgun shells to go skeet shooting or duck hunting or target shooting or whatever, I have to go through a whole background check like as if I was buying a real rifle or a shotgun. I mean, it's not as extensive. I mean, you don't pay as much. You don't fill out as much paperwork, but a background check is conducted. So, and with California, there are so many gun laws on the books as it is that it's hard to buy a weapon as it is. To buy a handgun, a shotgun, there's a 10-day waiting period. There are restrictions on features of the weapons that you can get, like pistol grips, or you have to break the weapon open to release the magazine and all that stuff. I'm not going to get into it, but you can go ahead and YouTube or Google California gun laws 2019, and there are just so many. There are so many gun laws, but yet crime is still happening. People are still getting killed. People are still getting shot, stabbed, whatever. It's still happening. So these laws and a lot of things are that what a lot of um, liberals are saying is that, well, okay, you guys aren't the problem, the gun owners, but it's a mental health issue. Okay, well, yeah, it's a mental health issue, and their goal and their plan of attack is, well, we got to figure out how they can't obtain these guns. Well, yeah, that is a problem, but it's a problem that could be solved on people who own guns that have members in their family that might have mental issues. It's called buying safes. It's called making sure that they have no access to it, what have you, and keeping sure that that stuff is not available to them. Okay? But if they do have mental issues, and if they do have that, and they get a gun, whether they buy it or if they don't buy it, they steal it, it is on the gun owner's fault for not having these weapons locked up properly. Okay? And let's throw out the theory that, let's say a shooting happens, father had guns, he had a safe, the son would have access to the safe, he goes and kills some people. Okay, what's the meaning for that? Well, that goes on what's happening with the mentality of our youth, of family members, of adults, whatever. There's something going on with people nowadays. There is a mental issue going on, and that's where I go back to pharmaceuticals. I go back to heavily on pharmaceutical drugs, that a lot of these people, because a lot of the times the news says that these people have had mental issues, and if they have mental issues, they're on pharmaceutical drugs. So that's where it has to be dived into there. Or these pharmaceutical drugs that these companies are pumping out, are they hazardous? Are they not thoroughly tested? Are they just, doing the bare minimum to try and fix somewhat of the problem, but the side effects they don't care, because it's a billion-dollar industry. It's billions of dollars that get invested into this. My aunt, quick story, she works in a cancer ward, and every day, I kid you not, pharmaceutical companies come to her office where they treat cancer victims with pharmaceutical drugs and what have you, whether it's pills or IVs or what have you. They cater to them every day. She gets catered lunches, desserts, what have you, from all these different pharmaceutical companies, so that way they can keep their contracts with these companies, with these hospitals and cancer wards and whatever. It is big business and money, because that's how they make their money. That's why there's so many ads playing on cable news. That's why there's so many ads playing on just regular standard TV. Even, I guess, your phones, your Facebook, Twitters, whatever. There's advertisement for pharmaceutical drugs. So this is where I'm sort of just saying, if you guys are going to go into, I guess, starting to advocate for these shootings that have been happening, really look at the shooter and what kind of background he had. Was he messed up? Was he on drugs? Does it sound like some nut did it? Was it a veteran? Was it a police officer? Whatever. You got to ask yourself these questions, and not just say, "Oh, the guns did it. If we ban the guns, that would be it." No, banning the gun is not the problem. There are enough guns in this country, the United States, to arm every citizen. Okay, so every gun owner in this country would have enough guns to arm those who aren't even armed, okay? And probably then some. So that just goes to show you that banning guns aren't going to work. All right? And if they are criminals, and if they are gangbangers or whatever, that is a city problem. That is something that the cities have to fix, all right? If there is a high crime rate like Detroit or Chicago or New York or LA, where there's gang violence and shootings happening all the time, and people are killing each other, whether it's black on black, Mexican on black, white on Mexican, whatever, all these shootings that are happening, if that's happening, the city has to buckle down and get that crap fixed, all right? I mean, for example, LA's homeless problem and the rat problem, that it's going medieval over there. Disease is running rampant, and the mayor is like, well, we're trying, we're doing what we can, but it's like nothing's getting done. I mean, a little bit gets done, but it's not like, okay, we're gonna go in, we're gonna hire all these people, whether accepting donations or not. We're gonna hire a bunch of people to come in and clean the streets. We're gonna try and relocate these people. We're gonna try and do all this stuff, but it's not happening. So, mayor's just sitting on his ass and telling the media what they want to hear and telling the people what they want to hear, saying like, oh, he's trying to do something. But in reality, he's not, okay? And that happens in every liberal-run city, going all the way back to Detroit. All right? Detroit has been under liberal occupation since the 60s, 50s or 60s. And look at it now. It's a shithole. It is slum. So that just goes to show you that these leftists, these liberals, are just constantly ruining wherever they go. Gavin Newsom was the mayor of San Francisco for I don't know how many years before he became lieutenant governor. And look at San Francisco. Needles and feces, homelessness on the rise in the city. I mean, if you want to say one good thing came out of San Francisco, it was a program that was set up to clean feces off the streets. So if you needed a job that paid somewhat well, then there was a job in the city that asked of you to go and clean the streets of feces and urine. I mean, can you believe that? So if Gavin Newsom ran that city into the ground, imagine what every other liberal running every other liberal city across the nation is doing. So these are just some quick thoughts before you go out and start blaming the gun on everything. The liberals, the Democratic, nominees are going to Twitter and never letting a good tragedy go to waste on it. Even if they never brought up the fact of guns and, we need to do, they say something needs to be done. Enough is enough. That's their main quote that they like to use. If they're not saying that now, they will be saying it later. Okay? Definitely later. And with these shootings that have been happening in the span of a few days, you can damn well believe that these guys are going to be pushing it, especially when it comes to future upcoming Democratic debates, that they're going to be, what are you going to do about it? And, referring to these incidences. So, basically, guys, just really look at this video, really understand that it could be pharmaceutical drugs, which I believe it is. It could be a morality issue with these people. It's 2019. The country's divided. There are people who are willing to kill, like Antifa, or attack, and it's starting to break out maybe. The seams are busting to where political on the left side is just starting to get away because Republicans are not doing this. We're not going around and fighting Antifa or fighting leftists, trying to, shoot them down. It's all about talk first, reason first, and if you have to, defend yourself. But with the leftists, it's the other way around. It's let's take action now, talk about it at the same time, but mostly let's just take action and let's just, take out the right. That's what they want to do. So I'm going to end the video. It's a 30-minute video, so it's pretty long, but I don't know when I'm going to be making a lot of videos yet, but please like, subscribe, share the video. Even if you don't do any of that other stuff, just please share the video. All right? We'll catch you guys in the next video.